envy to say all of that. And if you preach a short sermon, he must not prepare this week's sermon. At the altar call, if you have a long prayer in the shoe, he ain't got to pray for the shoestrings and everything else. He ain't got to do all that. And then when you pray short prayer, they say, you know, he got 6 folk on the list that he didn't even mention this morning. When you get some little tough, when you get back home and you give them your expense account, and you tell them this is how much money I spent, and the trustees start looking at and say, well, how come you spent that much on dinner? We can get dinner for a lot less than you took on the dinner. One of the old saints comes to church on you glad to see her. She gets up and gives a testimony. She said, no, I was sick for a long time. Been sick for 3 weeks, and pastor didn't even come to see me. And you sitting there saying, but nobody told me you were sick. When the offering plate gets a little bit low, and you gotta choose between your salary and paying the light bills. When times get tough and folk talking about your wife dressing up, so when she dresses up, they want to talk about her and say, you know, she putting on a fancy fashion show every Sunday, and then when she dresses down, they want to say, well, you know, your children know better than that. She's the pastor's wife. Children, when they're good, say, you know, if they got them good attention children, they act like they just saints all the time. Don't they criticize that and then let them mess up and say, you know, a pastor ought to be head of his household, and he got them little heathen running around acting like they lost their mind. They talk about you like you're not a child of God. Where is your faith then? Can you still preach when folk are talking about you? Can you still visit the sick when they don't want you to come? Can you still love folk who don't love you? Can you still be kind when they're mean? Can you still lift up God's name when they act looking for a way out. Even the sailors were attempting to get off the ship because they didn't think it would make it. But Paul said, my God said it, and I believe it because I can trust my God even when I can't see a way out. My brothers and sisters,
yes, sir.
There is one final word I need to say today.
That's it. That's it. I hear it.
And that is God's faithfulness. It's one thing to be caught in a storm. It's another thing for Paul to be faithful.
I see, my Lord, my Lord. Let's see here.
But it's still another thing for God to show God's faithfulness.
Yeah. Thank you, Lord. Oh, Lord.
The text says that the dawn broke.
Yeah.
And the man on the watch spied land. For 14 days they hadn't seen land. So he excitedly announced to everybody, land ho. And the sailors and everybody aboard began to get excited.
That's it, preacher.
They believed that the ship could make it in.
Yeah. Come on, preacher. Come on, Reverend.
So they cut loose their anchors.
Yeah.
They untied the rudder.
Yeah.
They hoisted the foresail.
Yeah.
They caught the wind.
Yeah.
And they were headed for the beach.
Yeah.
Everybody would be saved.
Yeah. Right.
Somewhere between where they were and where they were trying to go, the ship ran on an underwater sandbar. And the front of the ship got stuck. And the back of the ship began to get torn apart by the conflicting wind and the rain. The very vessel they thought that would take them safely in was now breaking apart. The centurions realized that if any of the prisoners escaped, their lives would be taken in exchange. And so they wanted to kill them right away. But let me tell you about my God. My God is so marvelous that he can use a centurion that didn't know God to spare Paul's life. I don't know what he saw in Paul. This was a hardened soldier who led 100 men. He had been in battle. He was part of the imperial guard. He didn't mind dying and he didn't mind killing. But there was something he saw in Paul that made him want to spare Paul's life. Oh, what a God. Even those who are in charge of dying and death won't put the hand on the man of God. And then the centurion says an amazing statement. He says, those who can swim, you jump overboard. You try to swim to the shore. For the rest of you, you grab hold of broken pieces and try to make it on in. And the text says that 276 souls left the ship and 276 folk made it safely on shore. Some of them swam ashore, but a whole lot of them made it in. Planes were broken pieces. The ship didn't make it. That which they thought would bring them safely in didn't make it, but they made it in on broken pieces. I want to stop by to tell you tonight, you and I are the heritage of folk who made it in on broken pieces. We didn't have a whole ship. We didn't have a whole loaf of bread. We didn't have a whole those that come, don't get bent all out of shape because they don't like you back